Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday morning in Chicago, as it is everywhere else. And I wanted to speak briefly about the topic of boundaries. This is something that most of my clients struggle with when they're grieving. But I know that this problem is not restricted to those who are grieving. It's a problem that most women particularly struggle with. So, in this short video, I thought I would share some ideas and particularly 3 tips on how to protect your boundaries, especially if you're grieving a loss. The first piece I want to say about boundaries is that we have got it all wrong. The reason why we don't know how to create boundaries is because we think we should be giving all the time, right? And New Age spirituality complicates the issue. When we think of love as forgiving, understanding, giving, accepting, and being kind. But sometimes it's necessary to create a boundary to say this far and no more. And this is especially hard for women to do because we are hardwired to nurture, to give, to care for other people. And so when we think of creating a boundary, it often seems like telling somebody else, I'm over here and you need to be over there and not mess with my space. And that's really hard for most of us to do. It doesn't seem loving, it doesn't seem accepting, it doesn't seem kind. But how much of a thing can you tolerate? For instance, do you have someone who's unemployed and living with you and you're taking care of them even though you don't want to? There's a part of you that knows you're enabling them, and yet you struggle to draw that boundary and let them know that they need to be responsible for their life. Are you putting up with people who violate your trust? Are you hanging out with friends whose company is becoming more toxic? Are you gossiping with people because you don't know how not to do it? And that if you say, I don't do this anymore, or I don't want to do it, you will come across as being judgmental. And that will exclude you from that circle. These are some of the main reasons why we struggle to create boundaries. We want to belong, we want that sense of inclusion. And so if we go against the rules of the game, then we fear that we will be alone, we will be judged, and that's a scary feeling. But it's so important not to think of a boundary as you are over there and I'm over here, and you don't get to cross over into my space. And that saying it is just being mean. A boundary, and this is something we need to think of if we are not thinking of boundaries as something positive, we need to think of boundaries as a sacred circle. It's a sacred circle that safeguards your heart, that protects you, that keeps you safe, that lets you know what's welcome and what's not. When you begin to think of boundaries in this whole new way, then you will feel a little less squeamish about setting your boundaries and letting people know what's acceptable and what's not. We have to realize that everyone has their own soul journey. It's not something we get to do for other people. So you're enabling someone else's bad behavior or less than good choices is not really helping them. It just helps you feel good about you. But in the long run, what you're doing is you're really limiting that person's soul growth. And that's a really good way to think of a boundary. It's a sacred circle of trust. I love what well-known coach Ann Raymond has to say about boundaries. She says, I think of boundaries as being the natural outcome of a person who has grown into a mature, actualized being. Imagine coming to the edge of a river. If the river is full and flowing as you stand there on the river bank, you are going to think twice about crossing it. The flowing presence is in itself a natural boundary. Now imagine that the same river has dried right up. The riverbed is dry and walkable. You might walk across without even hesitating. It is the same with people. When they are present and full of themselves in the best possible way, there is no question of invading them, crossing them, or walking over them. And it's the same with people. When we present ourselves as a full river flowing with fullness, then we give from that space of our fullness. Contrary to our expectations, creating boundaries helps us to love more deeply and give more fully without feeling like it's our duty, it's a sense of obligation. We do it with an open heartedness that is often not true when we're giving from a place of emptiness. So, here are 3 tips for you on how to protect your boundaries, especially if you're grieving a loss. Number 1, say yes to non negotiables and only non negotiables. In other words, preserve your energy for what you absolutely must get done through the day, and everything else can wait, go on a list, or go out of your life. Number 2, say yes only to those people who can be with you as you're grieving the loss. A lot of people try to fix you, try to make you feel better, try to push you to do things you're not ready to do, like go shopping or go watch a movie. And if you're not feeling up to that, you need to let them know. Make sure that you have a sacred circle of friends who are able to sit with you in the space of loss. These people are hard to find, but even if you can find only 1 or 2, they are the people you need to walk with you on your journey. And number 3, put self-care first on your list. You come first on your list. You are the one with a broken heart, and you need to invest time in your self-care. Self-care is not selfish, because when you take care of you and you begin to heal, there's more of you to go around. And there's more of your best version to go around. Isn't that what you want? Don't you want to serve the people you love and care about from the best and highest version of you? That's what happens when you put self-care first. So when you don't have a lot of energy and you only have the energy to deal with the tasks that must be dealt with, take time to do the things that mean self-care to you. Spend time by yourself if that helps. Take naps. Get 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. Read. Go on long walks. Play with your pet. Play with a baby. Spend time in nature. Make yourself foods that nourish and soothe your soul. These are all great ways to care for yourself. So I hope these 3 tips on self-care when you're grieving a loss will help you create healthy boundaries that let you know that you are safe, that other people need to respect you for who you are and where you are. And those who are not able to do so, maybe they have no place in your life, even though they have place in your heart. That's what I wanted to share with boundaries today. If you like this video, please drop a comment or click the like button. Share it with somebody who you think. I'll talk to you again next week. Bye.